All right, Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs have stunned the Texas Longhorns. Final score 30-15. The Georgia Bulldogs have knocked off the #1 team in the country. What a wild, wild game. This is one of the biggest regular season wins in Georgia football history. This is one of Kirby Smart's biggest wins. Let's dive into it because so much happened. This was such a wild, crazy game. I mean, Georgia gets off to a fast start. It was a 23-0 at the half, but let's start in the beginning because, we could talk about Carson Beck briefly. This was about the defense, but Carson Beck was bad. 3 interceptions. He had 2 interceptions, kind of bad ones, on the second and third drive of the game. The first was just an awful decision. It was the worst decision than a throw. The second one, he had a wide open loss and lucky. He missed him, interception, whatever. Georgia's defense was elite. I'll talk about Carson Beck later, but this win was about the defense. Jalen Walker was an animal. He's an absolute freak out there. 7 tackles, 3 sacks in the first half alone. This was just an epic win all the way around. Dalen Everett conquering the demons. He had 2 turnovers in the first half. One on a blitz, strip, sack, fumble. He recovered it. Georgia goes on to, I think, get some points off of that. He also had a big interception late in the first half. The defense was fast. They were physical. Michael Williams was all over the place. Raylan Wilson had a big game. We'll talk about the targetings in a second. And the Texas fans were throwing trash and beers on the field. I'll talk about that in a minute. That was a crazy play. Georgia was up, I think, 27-3. Carson Beck throws an interception. It was an interception. It was a terrible throw, one of his many terrible throws. He made some good ones in this game, but 3 interceptions, again, 175 yards. Georgia's passing attack was just not existent. And there were some bad drops too. Listen, this was not on Mike Bobo for the offense. I know a lot of people are going to want to throw Mike Bobo onto the bus because that's everyone's favorite thing to do sometimes. Not everyone's, a very small amount of people. But Carson Beck played not great. The receivers have to play better. Trevor Etienne, 3 rushing touchdowns. He was the guy on offense. He is a difference maker. But let's talk about the game real quick because Georgia does get off to a kind of a slow start. They get the ball, they punt, they go 3 and out. I think it was 2 incomplete passes, both off target by Beck, who was off target early on. There's no doubt about it. They went punt, interception. Things are looking bad. But Georgia's defense is playing lights out elite football. Quinn Ewers was running for his life in the first half. They brought Arch Manning in. Arch Manning, it was like, no, thank you, bro. No, thank you. Get me out of here. I ain't ready for this. And Quinn Ewers is like, I ain't ready for this, but I guess I'll go back out there. And anyway, but, Georgia's offense went punt, interception. Then they go touchdown, field goal, touchdown, field goal. And before you know it, they're up 20-0, 23-0 at the half. Things are feeling great. Then the second half starts, and Georgia does, I guess, not an onside kick, but a little squib kick. I don't know if they just didn't execute it properly. It was supposed to go further down the field, or if there was kind of a trick onside kick, whatever. It didn't work. Texas has great field position. They score a touchdown, get the 2-point conversion, and boom, it's 23-8. And you're thinking, okay, we're going to have a game. Then, happens. And this instant reaction here. Also, I'm usually at the games. I was not able to make it to Austin this weekend for several reasons, but this will be the only game I missed. Usually I'm in the stadium making these videos right after the game, but obviously I'm not there, so we're doing it at the office. But, Georgia had the run game going, and they should have kept up with that a little more. They tried to get the passing attack going. A lot of screens, a lot of short passes, an extension of the run game, but not a ton of shots deep. I mean, Carson just did not look comfortable. He did not look comfortable. He was just off. Little off here, little off there. The receivers weren't making plays for him. I think that second throw of the game, it was an open Dylan Bell. He missed it. He missed Lawson Lucky on the second interception. That should have been a catch, first down, first and goal, and you get points there. They didn't. And he made some throws. London Humphreys dropping that ball at the end was catastrophic almost. I mean, that guy's got to play better. I thought Oscar Delp played a great game, blocking, and he had a big-time catch late in the ball game. But, there's so much to talk about. And first off, let's start with the call that changed the game. Carson Beck not on the same page with Arian Smith. Classic. Those two have been playing together since Nam. feels like 20, 30, 50 years, and they still can't get on the same page half the time. But it was an interception by Carson Beck, his third of the game. They take it all the way down inside the 10, but it was a pass interference call. And it was a bad one because it wasn't pass interference. The fans start throwing trash onto the field. You can watch over on Dawg Post. It's a free story. We've got video of it, so make sure you're checking that out. And then the officials get together and they're thinking, you know what, we kind of look bad. That wasn't our best call. We've got some time to mull this over while everyone's cleaning off the trash on the field. Let's actually just go back and change it. Now, you can't review pass interference unless I'm an idiot, unless I'm a dummy. And then they come back, commercial break, and they're going to pick up the flag that they stood by and threw. And then now let's just give Texas the football. Let's make this interesting, right? They score a touchdown. So it's an 8-point game. Then Georgia drives the field late in the third quarter. They punch it in early in the fourth quarter. Then they go up 30-15, and that's where it ended. But the defense came up big time and time again. It was a lot of guys. As I talked about, Jalen Walker was a freak out there. Michael Williams made big play after big play, especially late in the game. I think he had the big sack, but I mean, it was either a turnover on downs, an interception, a forced fumble. I mean, that defense was making play after play after play. 7 of those points that they gave up came from that Carson Beck interception. So you can't really pin that on the defense, but they were fantastic. That was elite defense. That's what we're used to seeing from this team. Kirby said after the game, he said, we came to eat. No one believed in us. They tried to, screw us out of the game. He said that out loud. I mean, he was pissed. He was so pissed at the officials multiple times. But when they overturned that holding penalty and gave Texas the ball inside the 10, he went ballistic, just ballistic, as he should have. I still can't believe that. It felt like Texas had the calls go their way. Most of the calls, the 50-50 calls, went Texas's way. Georgia came out and thumped them. They came out with a mission. And they said, we don't care what's happened over the last several weeks. We know we haven't been playing our best football, but we're going to bring it. And they absolutely brought it. They can't play this way against Alabama most of the time, but against anyone else, big moment, big game. This team's ready. Massive credit to Kirby Smart and this staff for having the guys ready. Glenn Schumann scheming up an outstanding game plan for these guys to go out and attack Quinn Ewers. Let's see. It was a pretty even game if you look at the numbers. Total yards, Georgia only had 283 total yards. That's not great. 108 rushing yards thanks to Trevor Etienne on 30 carries. They only rushed for 3.6 yards a rush. I mean, things were tough. Georgia still had to earn everything offensively. 175 passing yards for Carson Beck, 56% completion percentage. The total yards, it was 283 to 259. Texas was right there. Texas couldn't run the ball. They had 29 net rushing yards. Georgia's defense came to play. There's no doubt about it. Georgia sacked him 7 times. 7 sacks for that Georgia defense. And that's the one thing we talked about going into this game. Can Georgia get that rushing attack going? Can they get some sacks on the quarterback? You talk about creating havoc. That's the most havoc we've seen them create all season long, and they did it for 4 quarters. There was a time in this game where you thought they were going to let Texas right back into it, and this was going to be a game that comes down to the wire, and it kind of did. They tried to ice the game late, and I agree with the call. There's like 2 minutes left. They're up 15, 4th and inches. You get this, you can eat it out, game over. And they went for it. They said, if we can't get 1 yard, what are we doing here? Let's ice this game right now. They didn't. Texas still couldn't score. The defense for Georgia was just so nasty in this game. This is one of a top 5, probably nastiest Georgia defenses I've seen in a long time covering. I mean, it felt like a 2021 defense was out there just flying to the football, making plays, game-changing plays, forcing turnovers. There's a lot to like about this win. And again, we could talk about Carson Beck and his poor play and the receivers dropping the ball, for the next 2 weeks as we prepare for Florida, right? But if you're a Georgia fan, just sit back and enjoy this. It wasn't the prettiest game offensively, but they came out and made a statement. This team can win a national championship. I said that after Mississippi State. I got this game wrong, hand up. I have no problem admitting it. I thought Texas was better, and I wasn't sure if Georgia had enough in the secondary. We talk about targeting too. What is targeting, by the way? I haven't even mentioned this. We're like 10 minutes into the video. Dan Jackson out for targeting. Janelle Aguero out for targeting. They were popping dudes out there. I mean, there were some hard hits. KJ Bolden almost knock some dude's head off. I thought that was going to be a targeting. It wasn't. That would have been a huge play in the game. They didn't look at it for whatever reason, but Georgia went head hunting tonight, and they hunted some horses, and they're eating beef tonight for dinner. The Dogs came in there. What a win. And we're going to keep talking about this again. The game just ended. Instant reaction thoughts. I'm still going to dig more into this game, but this was a wild one. You got to tip your hat to Kirby Smart and Mike Bobo too. I thought the game plan was fine. They did run the football. A lot of plays should have worked that didn't. So I have no problem how they tried to come out aggressive and then went back to the run. They tried to get aggressive late in the game. The players have to do a better job, but I thought the offensive line played better. Carson Beck has played better. We've seen him win games with his arm. He didn't have it today. Just felt off. And if you told me that he was going to throw for 3 interceptions, 0 touchdowns, under 200 yards, and Georgia would win by 15 points in this game, I would have said, you're crazy. I would have said, you're crazy. You're nuts. But this Georgia team, they came out and they played with passion. They played with aggression. They were fast. They executed the game plan defensively. Trevor Etienne ran with heart, ran with passion, and he led Georgia's offense. Let's see who. Let's go to some rushing. Arian Smith caught 6 passes for 32 yards. Dom Lovett 4 for 35 yards. Still just wasn't crisp, the passing attack. I mean, it just seemed a little off the entire game. And he made some key throws down the stretch, but Carson Beck's got to play better if they want to win a national championship. And they can do it. They can. Texas came out flat for sure. I don't know what they were expecting, but the Dogs came in for a fight, and they won that fight. Phenomenal first half, and they were able to, I don't want to say cruise, because Texas did their best to get back into it, but Georgia was clearly the better team in this game. And the numbers say it was fairly even, but Georgia's defense, absolutely phenomenal game, creating havoc, causing turnovers, creating momentum for them, and then Georgia's rushing attack. And again, the 2 things I wanted to see most from Georgia was get the rushing game going and get the pass rush going. They did both of those things. That's why they came out victorious. Massive, massive win for the Dogs. They just knocked off the #1 team in the country on the road when no one expected them to. Kirby was pissed after the game. Go watch that. He said, none of you at your network at ESPN thought we could win. I did too. I thought Texas was going to win the game. I was wrong. I've got to do better. But they proved me wrong. I have no problem admitting it. But massive win. This team is better than they've looked in the past. If they play like this consistently, they can win a national championship. Now, they got to do it. Florida won't be easy. Tennessee, Ole Miss, those won't be easy games. But if they play like they did tonight for the rest of the season, they are going to be very, very tough to beat. Alabama lost their second game today. Georgia's in a great spot. They are in a great spot. It's a new season, and these Dogs can win the whole thing. Thanks for watching. I'll see you over on the website.